Hi everyone, this is Effie. Today I'm going to show you how I made this card using our Fresh Cut Roses stamp set. There are 3 roses in this set and each rose has 3 layers, but the layers are interchangeable so you can mix and match to get different looks. Like our other layering sets, our Fresh Cut Roses also comes with a color printed guide and it shows you how each rose looks with the 3 layers stamped out. Now let's get started on our card. I'm going to position my pedestal vase and the sentiment on my card panel, which is within my MISTI. It's a stamp positioning tool. I'm going to close my lid after I get the position that I want. After I close the lid and the stamps are adhered onto the lid, I'm going to prep my card panel with some anti-static powder tool. Then I'm going to ink up my stamps with some Versamark ink, which is just a clear sticky ink, which is great for heat embossing. Now I'm going to close the lid and press firmly on it so that all the ink transfers onto the panel. I'm using some silver glitter embossing powder to emboss my pedestal vase and the sentiment, and then I'm going to take my heat gun and apply it to the stamped image, and this is going to melt all of the embossing powder. You want to wait a few seconds to heat up your heat gun before actually applying it to your panel to avoid any warping. I'm going to get started on stamping the roses. Let's start with this rose, and I'm going to stamp them in our Peony collection Couture inks. This is our pink layering inks, and I'm going to start off with the lightest layer, which is the first layer, and I'm stamping it in ballet slippers. The second layer is our Hollywood star, and I'm going to stamp the second layer in this dye ink. You can layer these roses by lining up the edges of that bottom petal, as you can see as I'm doing here. And remember, this stamp set comes with a color printed guide, so you can use that as reference. Next, I'm going to stamp the third layer in our Cosmopolitan Hybrid ink, which is the darkest color in our Peony collection. And this is how the roses look close up. As you can see, they layer nicely. Next, I'm going to layer the second rose, and I'm going to layer them in the Orchid collection Couture inks, which is a really pretty set of different tones of orchid colors. The first layer I stamped in our soft orchid, and the second layer I stamped with our Orchid Crush ink, and the third layer I stamped in Grand Fuchsia. All 3 are dye inks. And I kind of sped up the process here because all the stamping is very similar. Now I'm stamping the third rose, and I'm stamping it in our Ruby collection, which is our red collection. Next, I'm going to go ahead and stamp the leaves. I'm going to start out with the cluster of leaves, and I'm stamping them in our Minted collection inks. So the leaves also have 3 layers, but they can also be stamped individually or together. As you can see, the solid layer has some white space, so there's some added depth to the layers. After I finish stamping the leaves, I'm going to fussy cut all of the roses and all of the leaves that I want to use for this card. The fresh cut roses don't have coordinating dies yet, so you can fussy cut your stamped images or use a scan and cut if you have one. So once the cutting is done, I'm going to take my mini wild floral set and I'm going to place them on my blocks. I use the front and back side of my block so that I get the most use out of them, and the stamping goes a little faster. So I'm going to take some of the ferns and I'm going to stamp the first layers in the Lofty Mint, and then I'm going to take some other ferns and stamp them in the Bright Emerald, which is the mid-tone green that we have. And after that, I'm going to take a few of the sprigs and the sprays. These aren't as big or as elaborate as the other greenery. I just wanted some of the smaller ferns in this set to stamp just a few tiny accents in the dark green. You don't want to add too much in the dark green because it'll overpower the background and overpower your flower arrangement, I guess. Once the stamping is done with the mini wild florals, I've gone ahead and arranged my flowers. Once I was satisfied, I'm going to pop them up. I'm going to pop up the roses with some dimensional foam tape. Then I'm going to pop up the cluster of leaves with some foam tape as well. And then with the single or individual leaves, I'm going to adhere some with a liquid adhesive and some with a dimensional adhesive. This way that there's some more dimension and depth to your card. I encourage you to experiment with this set, and I encourage you to experiment with, other floral sets that you may have to mix and match to create a really nice floral arrangement. All of our fresh cut stamp sets come with vases because I really wanted to create gorgeous bouquets and floral arrangements that you can make for your paper crafts. One of the last steps was to adhere some sequins onto my card panel. So I'm just using a mix of our glass slipper sequins. The mix has 5 sizes. It has 4, 5, 6, 8, and 10 millimeter sequins. So I just arranged them, all over the front of the card so that it adds a really nice sparkling touch to the card. Once the stamp panel is finished with the sequins, I'm going to adhere it onto my A2 side folding card base, and I'm just going to make sure that it's adhered firmly down onto the base. The last touch was to add some Wink of Stella to the roses, and this is just going to add some beautiful glitter to your florals. I really hope you enjoyed this video. It took me a couple days to make this video because it was a little bit more involved, and I tried to make it within the daylight, but for some reason the timing just was not working out. So here is the finished card. Thank you for stopping by, and I hope you come back the rest of the week to check out our anniversary release. Thank you all so much for supporting us this past year. It's been an amazing ride, and I hope to bring you so many more amazing stamps. Thank you. Bye.